So, it's not that I'm lazy. I'm just a very comfortable person, right? I just like to do things efficiently without having to expend any sort of unnecessary energy per se. I wanted to figure out a way to be able to make my life a little bit more comfortable. Since I already have a bunch of smart gear in my bedroom and just all around the house, I just figured that the best way of making use of all that hardware would actually be by buying more hardware. However, I got a little bit lucky, as the folks over at Zemismart sent over their latest edition of motorized curtains, and it's actually pretty damn awesome. Throughout this video, I'm going to be unboxing these and taking a closer look at these, and I'll be building them as well. I'm a little bit clumsy when it comes to that. I think it's going to be a ton of fun. And if you're like me and like to find ways of making your life just a little bit easier, then I think that we can all agree that smart curtains might actually be a fun way of making that happen. So join me through my day as I build it and I test it and I give you guys my honest opinion on this matter. So with that said, let's swim. This video is sponsored by Fifine, the makers of some of the best audio gear on a great budget, like the ones from their C1 models featuring a professional grade lavalier mic and a headset mics bundled together. Links to everything below. So in the box, you're going to be able to tell that this is a pretty large package, and it's because it comes with a ton of railings, the motor itself, and the tracks and the screws and the remote, and pretty much everything that you will be needing in order to build this. They even include an Allen key, which will work for all of it, with the exception of the actual screws. You'll be needing either a screwdriver or a drill. I ended up using both for different purposes, for instance, and it definitely came in handy. You can actually make these as long as your heart desires, and it's pretty crazy, as they just include a ton of rails and they come with a bunch of adapters as well, so you could end up covering an entire wall if you wanted to, almost. It just gives you quite a lot of flexibility here, and I really like that. That's the whole point of all of this, is to make life a little bit more flexible. And now let's get into building.
Yeah, I'm not gonna bother too much with this. I'm just gonna go ahead and cut through. And there we go. We already have the entire railing here, and then which one we're going to use. This length is actually good enough to cover the wall. Since we have pretty small windows here, we don't really have the maximum length or anywhere near it. This set can actually cover, so we're only going to depend on just one of them. We're going to be installing the track here, how the curtains are going to be able to move back and forth, and how it's going to have that connection with the motor itself. However, we need to make sure that we get the right length for it. In order for that to happen, we are going to have to use the measurement equipment that they give us here, right over here. Pretty small pieces, but very, very important. We have to take one end of this, and then we have to put this little tool right on it to make sure that it can actually grip it properly. Just do it all the way to make sure. So now this we're going to install to one end, just like this. We're gonna do it right here. Just gonna put it on one end of it. It's just gonna stand on one of the tracks for now. That helps you get the exact measurements that you would need from the other end. And I believe that on this end is where the motor would go. This is just so that it can have a little bit more leeway in order to be able to actually move the curtains back and forth. And, perfect, as usual. Not so smooth of a cut, but whatever. Then we have to do it again, as to make sure that it'll cover the other side of the rails as well. And like so, now we have two separate strips that should be of exactly the same length. Not so bad. Should have brought my lights up here. I'm so bad at this. And the irony of all of this is that I'm working so hard to set these up for the purpose of just being a little bit lazier later. I'm a hard worker. Now, the last step is just going to be to install this from the ceiling. We're supposed to use some very specific brackets for those. However, it really shouldn't be that big of a deal. Finally, get this baby working. I have to drill some holes up there. That's where it's gonna go. I'm doing this all alone, so wish me the best of luck. It was a terrible idea trying to do this by myself. Now we're almost ready to install the actual curtains and then see how it works. So this here is actually the Wi-Fi dongle. This is how the motor is going to receive the signal from both your voice assistant, and I believe this is also how the remote control works. Either way, this is how it's going to receive some sort of signal and it is necessary in order to get some functionality away from it. And I suppose that explains why the motor has a USB port in the first place, but yeah, let's go ahead and get that down. So this here is going to be a receiver. You can set this on the wall if you want, which is what I'm going to do with the included adhesive strips. And then if I ever just get closer and I don't have my controller near it, I could control it from there as well, which is really cool. So this doesn't have to be right next to it as far as I'm aware. This could be pretty much anywhere, and that's how it would receive a signal. After applying the adhesive, just tape this to the wall and boom, it looks pretty good. And the curtains have finally been set up. As you can see, it is actually a pretty nice color. Again, I didn't pick them, but hey, it does look pretty good. So then, first off, we're going to use this remote to open it and close it. So, great. Now to close. Good. So we know that it's working fine, that the motors are working just as they're supposed to. However, we still have at least one more step to go, and it's where we pair this with our Echo Dot. Since this set can actually be controlled through voice as well, I think that we should try and, well, take advantage of that. So let's dive into the setup. And this is actually done through the Zemismart app, which I have to download. And then once I can actually get the smart functionality going, I should be able to pair this with the Echo Dot, so that way it can be fully controlled through voice instead of having to go through using the remote or anything like that. It's just a lot more convenient since we already have the voice assistant in here. So let's check it out. Wow. And they actually have a pretty good selection of items here, as I can tell. But the ones that we have to look for are the curtains themselves, which should be somewhere here. We have it. Oh, there you go, curtain switch. So let's go ahead and do it through Wi-Fi. Okay, and after finally quite a bit of setting up here, I actually managed to get everything working. And it looks like the Zemismart app is now connected to my Echo Dot, which means that I should be able to control the curtains using my voice from now on. So let's go ahead and test that out. Hey Alexa, open curtain.
Okay.
Hey Alexa, close curtain.
Okay.
And well, there you have it. It's actually pretty damn awesome to be able to have something like this. And the responsiveness is also instantaneous, which is something I wasn't really expecting. There isn't much of a delay from the Amazon Echo all the way up to the motors themselves, so they work almost instantly, which I think is absolutely awesome. This is a really cool product. And there you have it. So the setup actually took me around, I would say, maybe 2 hours or so. It was a little bit more on the slower side, since it's the first time that I ever have to do anything like that. However, it was pretty cool. I thought that the results were actually pretty awesome, even though I would say that this is more of a luxury thing. I still think that it's really cool. And if you like being lazy, like I mean, very efficient like me, and something like this would actually be pretty cool. You keep into consideration that I would still consider this more of a luxury product. It's because it's not really necessary per se, and the price tag as well. And the prices are going to vary depending on where you buy these. However, this is just going to be more of a comfortable thing to have, and it can be practical. Also, it does depend on the person, but it does add a pretty cool convenience factor, and it does work really well. And it works with a variety of devices too. It can work with the Google Home Mini, which I do actually have around. However, I only tested it with the Echo Dot, as I thought that that would be enough, and it definitely was. It was really responsive, and surprisingly so. It is a really cool product, and I'm really glad that the Zemismart sent this over to me for review. I do wish that at this price tag, I thought the curtains would have been included in the box, as I had to go out and buy some, and the little remote actually uses AAA batteries. I had to run out and get those. However, all of these are just going to be very first world problems. So honestly, if you're going to be okay with all that stuff, then I think that you're going to be more than happy with the Zemismart curtains. Highly recommended. And if you're interested in purchasing this, I will be making sure to have affiliate links to Amazon in the description, as well as links to other sites. However, those are not going to be affiliated. If you end up using any of my affiliate links, then I do end up getting a small commission that does help me run things a little bit more smoothly around here. So if you were to use those, I would appreciate that quite a bit. But for now, this has been Francisco from Tech Summit. Thank you for watching, and I'll be seeing you all later. Enjoy.